You can feel it, can't you? The weight of eyes that linger, the silent glances that follow you into rooms and out of them again. Sometimes it's a whisper behind your back, sometimes it's the hush that falls when you enter, the sense that your every move is being measured, your every word weighed. There are moments when you wonder if you're imagining it, if the tension in the air is just your own heart playing tricks. But deep down, you know it's real. You know you're being watched. It's not just one person. It's a crowd you can't see, a gathering of opinions and judgments, some close, some distant, some hidden behind polite smiles or quiet screens. Maybe it's the family member who never quite says what they mean, the coworker who always seems to be listening a little too closely, the friend who suddenly grows silent when you speak your dreams aloud. Or maybe it's the faceless audience of social media, the unseen scroll of eyes across your life, the quiet tally of likes and comments that never quite add up to understanding. There's a discomfort in being seen this way, a vulnerability that makes you want to shrink back, to hide your heart behind silence or smallness. You wonder if you should say less, do less, be less, just to escape the scrutiny. But there's another side to this story, a side you haven't seen yet. Because while you feel exposed, while you sense the pressure of being observed, there is a promise woven into this moment, a promise that what is hidden will be revealed, and what is misunderstood will be made clear. Stay with me, because what you're feeling is not just the gaze of critics or the curiosity of doubters. There is a divine purpose in this season of exposure, a reason why so many eyes are on you right now. The discomfort you feel is not a sign of abandonment, but a sign of preparation. You are being positioned, not punished. You are being noticed, not neglected. And the very eyes that seem to watch for your weakness may soon witness your vindication. There is a reveal coming, one that will turn the tables and shift the narrative. The ones you thought were against you may not be your true opposition. The ones you never suspected may be the very ones God uses to open doors, to speak favor, to bring justice where you thought only judgment lived. The story is not finished, and the cast of characters is not what you expect. Lean in for this part. The shock is not just in who is watching, but in who is working behind the scenes. There are angels assigned to your case, silent advocates in places you cannot see. There are prayers being prayed for you by people you've never met, and there is a God who sees every hidden motive, every secret conversation, every unspoken word. The eyes on you are not just human, they are heavenly. And what is about to be revealed will not only surprise you, it will restore you. So don't shrink back. Don't let the weight of watching eyes make you small. There is a promise in this pressure, a purpose in this season. The reveal is coming, and you will be shocked at who is truly for you, and who has been watching with hope, not harm. The next chapter is about to unfold, and you are not alone in the spotlight. This is for you, the one who feels the invisible weight of being watched, the one who senses the silent conversations that happen when you leave the room. You know what it's like to walk into a space and feel the atmosphere shift, to wonder if your presence is a disruption or a disappointment. Maybe you've tried to brush it off, to tell yourself it's nothing, but the ache lingers. You feel it in the way people pause before they speak, in the way their eyes flicker with questions they never ask out loud. You feel it in the way your own words sometimes catch in your throat, afraid of being misunderstood or twisted. You might be the one in your family who stands out, the one who doesn't quite fit the mold, the one whose choices are always up for debate. Maybe you're the one at work who carries more responsibility than recognition, the one whose efforts are noticed only when something goes wrong. Or perhaps you're the friend who listens more than you're heard, the one who gives but rarely receives the same in return. You know what it's like to be the topic of conversation, even when you wish you could just blend in. There's a cost to being seen this way. It's not just about reputation, it's about the quiet erosion of your confidence, the way you start to question your own motives, your own worth. It's about the nights you lie awake replaying conversations, wondering if you said too much or not enough. It's about the moments you hold your breath, waiting for the next wave of criticism or the next subtle exclusion. The pressure builds, and sometimes it feels like you're carrying it alone. You may have tried to protect yourself by shrinking, by making yourself smaller, by hiding the parts of you that feel too bold or too different. You may have learned to keep your dreams quiet, to tuck your hopes away where no one can judge them. But the ache of being misunderstood doesn't go away. It lingers in the silence, in the spaces where you long to be known and accepted for who you truly are. This message is for the one who has been misjudged, the one who has been labeled by others who never took the time to understand your heart. It's for the one who has been the subject of whispered conversations, the one who has felt the sting of exclusion, the one who has watched opportunities pass by because someone else's opinion carried more weight than your truth. It's for the one who has been faithful in the shadows, who has done the right thing even when no one was watching, or so you thought. You are not invisible to God. Your tears have not gone unnoticed. The ache you feel is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of your deep desire to be seen and valued for who you truly are. The longing for vindication is not pride, it's the cry of a heart that knows it was made for more than silent suffering. You were created to shine, not to shrink. You were called to stand, not to cower. There is a sacredness to your story, a weight to your journey that others may never fully understand. But God sees every step, every sacrifice, every silent prayer. He knows the cost of your obedience, the price you've paid to stay true to your convictions. He knows the pain of being misread, the frustration of being overlooked, the loneliness of carrying burdens no one else can see. If you've ever felt like your life is on display, like your every move is being critiqued or questioned, this is for you. If you've ever wished for just one person to see your heart, to understand your motives, to stand up for you when you couldn't stand up for yourself, this is for you. If you've ever longed for justice, for restoration, for the truth to come to light, you are not alone. Stay with me, because your story is not over. The eyes that have watched you with suspicion will soon see you with new understanding. The silence that has surrounded you will not last forever. There is a shift coming, a turning of the tide. You are not defined by the opinions of others, but by the one who knows you completely and loves you without reservation. The longing for vindication is about to meet the promise of revelation. The next part of your story is about to unfold, and it will be worth every moment you've spent in the shadows. There is more at stake here than you may realize. When you are watched, when your life is under a microscope, it's not just your reputation that hangs in the balance. It's your peace, your sense of belonging, your ability to trust and to rest. Every sideways glance, every whispered word, every moment of suspicion chips away at the foundation of your confidence. It's not just about what people think of you, it's about how their opinions begin to shape the way you see yourself. The stakes are high, and the cost is real. You know what it's like to feel the tension in a room, to sense the undercurrent of judgment that flows just beneath the surface. You know the pain of being misunderstood, of having your motives questioned, your actions misinterpreted. Sometimes it feels like you're walking a tightrope, balancing between being true to yourself and trying to appease those who are watching. The pressure to perform, to prove, to defend yourself can be overwhelming. It's exhausting to live in a world where your every move is subject to scrutiny, where your mistakes are magnified and your victories are minimized. But there is a boundary that no one can cross without consequence, a sacred line drawn by the hand of God Himself. This boundary is not made of walls or fences, but of purpose and promise. It is the invisible line that marks what God has set apart for you, what He has called you to steward, what He has anointed you to carry. It is the place where your identity is rooted, where your calling is protected, where your peace is preserved. No amount of gossip, no wave of criticism, no storm of opinion can erase what God has spoken over your life. The world is loud with opinions, with rumors, with the constant noise of people trying to define you by their own limited understanding. But there is a quiet strength in knowing who you are and whose you are. The noise of gossip may rise, but it cannot drown out the voice of God. The opinions of others may shift like sand, but the truth of your identity is a rock that cannot be moved. There is a sacredness to your journey, a holiness to your story that no one else can touch. You may feel like you are standing alone, but you are surrounded by a boundary of divine protection. There are things that God has set apart for you, relationships, opportunities, dreams, that are guarded by His hand. There are places in your heart that only He can enter, places where His peace reigns even when the world is in chaos. The sacred boundary is not just a line of defense, it is a place of rest, a shelter from the storm, a reminder that you are not at the mercy of other people's opinions. This boundary is not about shutting people out, but about keeping your spirit safe. It's about knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, when to stand your ground and when to let God fight your battles. It's about trusting that what is meant for you cannot be taken by anyone else, that what God has promised will come to pass in His time and His way. The sacred boundary is a declaration that your life is not up for public auction, that your worth is not determined by the highest bidder of approval. There will always be those who try to cross the line, who test the limits of your patience, who push against the boundaries God has set. There will be moments when you are tempted to defend yourself, to prove your innocence, to fight for your reputation. But there is a greater strength in letting God be your defender, in allowing Him to vindicate you in ways you could never orchestrate on your own. The sacred boundary is a place of surrender, a place where you lay down the need to be understood and pick up the peace that comes from being known by God. Stay with me, because the story is not finished. The noise of gossip may be loud now, but it will not have the final word. The opinions of others may seem powerful, but they are no match for the authority of God's promise. There is a shift coming, a turning of perception, a reversal of judgment, a moment when the truth will break through the noise. The sacred boundary will hold, and what God has set apart for you will remain untouched. The next chapter will reveal just how powerful that boundary truly is, and how the quiet strength within you will outlast every storm of opinion. There is so much more happening than what you can see. While the world watches the surface, God is moving in the depths. You may feel exposed, as if every detail of your life is on display, but there are hidden hands at work, divine and human, shaping the outcome in ways you could never predict. The visible world is only a fraction of the story. What you see is the tension, the scrutiny, the pressure. What you don't see is the orchestration, the quiet interventions, the spiritual forces working on your behalf. Think of the moments that seemed insignificant, the quiet letter that arrived just when you needed encouragement, the missed call that spared you from a conversation you weren't ready to have, the message that was typed and deleted before it could wound your heart. These are not accidents. They are the fingerprints of a God who is intimately involved in the details of your life. There are angels assigned to your journey, standing guard in places you cannot see, intercepting words and actions that were never meant to reach you. There are prayers being lifted for you in rooms you've never entered, by people you may never meet this side of heaven. You may notice patterns that don't make sense at first, a sudden shift in someone's attitude, a door that closes without warning, a conversation that ends before it can turn against you. These are the subtle cues that something greater is at work. The world may call it coincidence, but you know better. You sense the timing, the way things align just when you need them most. You feel the nudge to wait, the urge to speak, the peace that settles over you when you choose silence instead of defense. These are the mechanics of grace, the hidden movements of a God who is both protector and provider. There are also human hands at work, some known and some unknown. The friend who checks in at just the right moment, the mentor who offers wisdom without knowing the full story, the stranger who prays for you without ever hearing your name. Sometimes, the very people you thought were watching to judge you are actually watching to learn from you, to see how you handle the pressure, to witness the strength that comes from your faith. Not every eye on you is an enemy. Some are witnesses to your resilience, silent admirers of your courage, quiet supporters who are rooting for your breakthrough. But there are also eyes that are not what they seem. Some watch with curiosity, others with envy, and a few with motives that are hidden even from themselves. Yet even here, God is not caught off guard. He sees the intentions of every heart, the plans that are whispered in secret, the alliances that form in the shadows. Nothing escapes his notice. He is the God who reveals and the God who conceals, the one who knows when to bring things to light and when to keep them hidden for your protection. The contrast is striking. What the world sees is only the surface, but what God is doing is layered, intricate, and purposeful. You may feel like you're standing alone in the spotlight, but behind the scenes, there is a network of grace holding you up. Every delay, every detour, every closed door is part of a larger design. The missed opportunities are sometimes mercies in disguise, the unanswered questions are invitations to trust, the silence is often the shield that keeps you safe from harm. Stay with me, because the story is still unfolding. The eyes that watch you now may not be the ones that matter most in the end. Some who seem distant are actually interceding for you. Some who appear close are being gently moved out of your path. The hidden mechanics at work are not random, they are the evidence of a God who is for you, who is orchestrating every detail for your good. The next chapter will reveal more than you expect, and you will see that what was hidden was always working in your favor. Not every obstacle in your path wears a name or a face. Sometimes, the greatest resistance comes in the form of patterns, old cycles of envy, silent rivalry, and the subtle misunderstandings that twist your intentions. You may look around and see smiles, hear polite words, and sense a surface calm, but beneath it all, there are undercurrents that threaten to pull you off course. The opposition is rarely as obvious as an open enemy. More often, it is the quiet tension in a conversation, the unspoken competition, the feeling that you are being measured against a standard you never agreed to. There are those who watch you, not to celebrate your growth, but to compare it to their own. Their encouragement is laced with questions, their support shadowed by doubt. You sense it in the way they ask about your plans, in the way they listen for your weaknesses, in the way they remember your mistakes more than your victories. Sometimes, it's not even about you, it's about what you represent. Your courage stirs up their insecurity. Your progress reminds them of their own delays. Your faith challenges their comfort. The contrast is sharp. On the surface, there is civility, even kindness. But underneath, there is a quiet resistance, a reluctance to see you rise. You may notice the way conversations shift when you enter the room, the way laughter fades or eyes avert. You may feel the weight of expectations that are never spoken, the pressure to stay in your place, to not outgrow the roles others have assigned you. The opposition is not always loud. Sometimes, it is the silence that speaks the loudest. Yet, it's not just people. It's the spiritual atmosphere that surrounds you, the unseen forces that try to sow confusion, to stir up division, to keep you doubting your worth. There are moments when you feel the heaviness, the sense that something is pushing back against your progress. You may find yourself second-guessing your decisions, questioning your calling, wondering if you're really meant to move forward. These are not just your thoughts, they are the echoes of resistance, the whispers of opposition that want to keep you small. But here is the truth, not everyone who watches you is against you. Some are waiting for you to break through so they can believe it's possible for themselves. Some are silent because they are fighting their own battles, not because they wish you harm. And some, you will be shocked to discover, are actually for you in ways you never imagined. The lines between friend and foe are not always clear, and the motives of the heart are known only to God. Stay with me, because the story is about to turn. The patterns of opposition are being exposed, not to shame anyone, but to set you free from the weight of false expectations. The surface politeness will give way to true intentions, and you will see who is truly for you. The obstacles in your path are not there to stop you, but to reveal the strength that has been growing in you all along. The next part of your journey will show you that what looked like rivalry was actually preparation, and what felt like resistance was the training ground for your next victory. There are signs all around you, if you know where to look. Sometimes, the evidence of God's justice and protection doesn't arrive with a trumpet blast or a headline. It comes quietly, in the details, in the patterns that others overlook. You may have wondered if you're imagining things, if the shifts you sense are just coincidences. But there is a language to these moments, a way that heaven speaks through the ordinary, a way that God leaves fingerprints on the fabric of your days. Watch for the sudden changes in tone. You might notice that someone who once spoke with certainty now hesitates, their words softer, their questions more careful. The person who used to challenge you at every turn may suddenly grow silent, or even offer a word of encouragement that catches you off guard. These are not random. They are signals that something is shifting beneath the surface, that the narrative is changing, that hearts are being softened in ways you cannot see. Pay attention to the unexpected support. It might come from someone you never considered an ally, a coworker who quietly stands up for you in a meeting, a neighbor who offers help without being asked, a family member who reaches out after a long silence. Sometimes, the support is subtle, a text message at just the right moment, a comment that affirms your efforts, a prayer whispered on your behalf when you least expect it. These are the echoes of God's favor, the evidence that you are not as alone as you once felt. Notice the accidental discoveries. Maybe you stumble upon a conversation you were never meant to hear, and it reveals the truth about someone's intentions. Maybe you find a note, a screenshot, a timestamp that confirms what your spirit already sensed. Perhaps you see a pattern in the way people interact with you, how their energy shifts, how their words change, how their presence lingers or withdraws. These are not accidents. They are clues, breadcrumbs left by a God who wants you to know that He is working, even when you can't see the whole picture. Look for the patterns in communication. Has someone started reaching out more often, or less? Do you notice a rhythm to the way messages are sent and deleted, calls are made and missed, invitations are extended and then withdrawn? Sometimes, the evidence is in what is not said, the pauses, the hesitations, the words that are carefully chosen or conspicuously absent. There is meaning in the silence, just as there is meaning in the noise. God is speaking through both. Pay attention to the timestamps. The timing of events is rarely random. The call that comes just as you're about to give up, the email that arrives at the perfect moment, the door that opens when you thought all options were closed, these are signals that you are being guided, that your steps are ordered, that justice is already unfolding in ways you may not yet understand. The timing is a message in itself. You are not forgotten, and your story is not being written by chance. Sometimes, the evidence comes in the form of peace. You may find yourself in a situation that should have rattled you, but instead, you feel a calm that doesn't make sense. You may face a confrontation, but instead of fear, you sense a quiet strength rising within you. This is the protection of God, the shield that covers you when words and actions are aimed your way. The peace is a sign that you are not fighting alone, that heaven is backing you up, that angels are standing guard even when you cannot see them. There are also signals in the way others respond to your boundaries. When you begin to say no, to stand up for yourself, to draw lines that protect your peace, watch how people react. Some will respect your boundaries and even admire your courage. Others may push back, test the limits, or try to guilt you into compliance. Their reactions are evidence of where their loyalty truly lies, and a sign of who is meant to walk with you into the next season. Sometimes, the most powerful evidence is found in your own growth. Notice how you handle situations now compared to before. See the strength that has developed in you, the wisdom that guides your decisions, the resilience that keeps you standing. These are not small things. They are the fruit of a process, the proof that God has been working in you even as He works around you. Stay alert to the signals that justice is already in motion. The truth has a way of surfacing, even when others try to bury it. The right people are being positioned, the right conversations are being had, the right doors are opening. You may not see the full picture yet, but the pieces are coming together. The evidence is mounting, and soon, what has been hidden will be revealed. Watch for these signals. They are the assurance that you are not forgotten, that your prayers are being answered, that your story is being shaped by hands far greater than your own. The signs are all around you, and as you notice them, you will find hope rising, faith strengthening, and a quiet confidence that justice and protection are not just promises, they are realities unfolding in your life, one detail at a time. The next chapter will bring even more clarity, and you will see that every sign was leading you closer to the truth. There comes a moment when everything changes. You may not see it coming, but you can feel the atmosphere shift. The tension that once pressed in on you begins to loosen, and the weight of being watched transforms into something altogether different. What once felt like exposure, like standing alone in the harsh light of judgment, is suddenly revealed as preparation. The delay you endured, the waiting that seemed endless, was not a punishment but a process. God was not withholding justice. He was setting the stage for something greater than you imagined. It often happens quietly at first. The people who once kept their distance begin to draw near, not with suspicion, but with questions and curiosity. The ones who watched in silence now speak up, their words carrying a new tone, one of respect, even admiration. You notice the shift in their eyes, the way they look at you not as a problem to be solved, but as a story to be understood. The support you longed for, the affirmation you craved, begins to surface from unexpected places. The friend who never spoke up before now stands in your corner. The colleague who seemed indifferent now advocates for you behind closed doors. The family member who doubted you now seeks your wisdom. This is the unveiling. The hidden support that was always there, quietly working in the background, steps into the light. You realize that you were never as alone as you felt. There were prayers being prayed for you, words of encouragement spoken over you, and acts of kindness done on your behalf that you never saw. God was moving hearts, aligning circumstances, and orchestrating connections that would become your lifeline in the moment of reversal. At the same time, true motives are revealed. The masks begin to slip, and the intentions of those around you come into focus. Some who seemed close are shown to have been motivated by envy or fear, while others who stood at a distance are revealed as genuine allies. The contrast is undeniable. What was hidden in the shadows is now brought into the light. The conversations that happened behind your back are exposed, and the truth that was buried beneath layers of misunderstanding rises to the surface. You see it in the way opportunities open up, doors that were once closed now swing wide. The very places where you were rejected become the platforms for your elevation. The pain you endured, the criticism you faced, the isolation you felt, all of it becomes the foundation for your breakthrough. What was meant to harm you is turned for your good. The delay was not denial, it was divine timing. God was preparing you, strengthening you, and positioning you for a moment such as this. The unveiling is not just about vindication, it's about transformation. You are not the same person you were when this began. The fire you walked through has refined you, the pressure has produced perseverance, and the waiting has deepened your faith. You have learned to trust God's timing, to rest in His promises, to believe that He is working even when you cannot see it. The pain was not wasted. It was the setup for justice, for restoration, for a new chapter marked by favor and clarity. As the truth comes to light, you find yourself standing taller, speaking with greater authority, moving with a confidence that is rooted not in the approval of others, but in the assurance of God's love. The opinions that once held you captive lose their power. The judgments that once wounded you are replaced by the affirmation of heaven. You realize that your story was never about the watchers, it was about the one who was writing your story all along. This is the moment of reversal. The tables are turned, and those who doubted you are left in awe of what God has done. The ones who tried to hold you back are witnesses to your elevation. The narrative shifts, and you are no longer defined by the scrutiny of others, but by the faithfulness of God. The pain of exposure is reframed as the preparation for your unveiling. The waiting is revealed as the womb of your breakthrough. Stay with me, because this is only the beginning. The unveiling is not just for your benefit, it is a testimony to others who are watching, waiting, and wondering if justice will ever come for them. Your story becomes a beacon of hope, a reminder that God's timing is perfect, that His justice is sure, and that what is hidden will always be revealed in the light. The next chapter will show you how to walk in this new season, how to steward the favor you've been given, and how to continue moving forward with grace and strength. The pain was real, but the purpose is greater. The unveiling has come, and you are stepping into the fullness of all that God has prepared for you. Now that the unveiling has begun and the truth is coming to light, it's time to align your actions with the new season you're stepping into. This is not just about waiting for justice or restoration to arrive. It's about partnering with God in practical ways, so you can walk in wisdom, peace, and strength. The journey ahead will require both spiritual sensitivity and practical steps, and you are more equipped than you realize. First, set clear boundaries. You have learned through experience that not every voice deserves access to your heart. It's time to define what is acceptable and what is not, to decide who gets to speak into your life and who does not. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out, but gates to protect what is sacred. If someone's words or actions consistently drain your peace or undermine your confidence, it is not only wise but necessary to limit their influence. You can do this with grace, by choosing when to engage, how much to share, and when to simply let silence speak for you. Remember, you are not obligated to explain your boundaries to everyone. Your peace is a priority, and God honors those who guard their hearts. Second, document interactions that matter. If you are in a situation where misunderstandings or accusations have been common, it is wise to keep a gentle record. This is not about living in fear or suspicion, but about stewarding your story with care. Save important messages, jot down dates and details of key conversations, and keep a quiet log of events that feel significant. This practice is not just for your protection, it is a way to honor the truth, to have clarity if questions arise, and to remind yourself of how far you've come. If you ever need to seek counsel or support, having a clear record will serve you well. Third, pray for discernment daily. The unveiling of motives and the shifting of relationships can be disorienting. Ask God for wisdom to know who is truly for you, who needs distance, and who is meant to walk with you into the next season. Pray for eyes to see beyond the surface, for ears to hear what is not being said, and for a heart that is sensitive to the leading of the Holy Spirit. Discernment is a gift, and God delights in giving it to those who ask. As you pray, trust that He will guide your steps, highlight the right connections, and shield you from harm. Fourth, maintain your calm. The temptation to react, to defend yourself, or to confront every misunderstanding will be strong. But you have already seen the power of patience and the strength that comes from stillness. When emotions run high, take a breath. Step back before responding. Let your words be few and your spirit steady. Sometimes, the greatest statement you can make is to remain unshaken in the face of chaos. Your calm is a testimony, a sign that your confidence is rooted in something deeper than circumstances. Fifth, align your actions with your values. Let your integrity speak louder than any accusation. Continue to do what is right, even when it is not recognized. Be generous with kindness, quick to forgive, and slow to take offense. The way you carry yourself in this season will echo far beyond the present moment. People may not remember every word you say, but they will remember the peace you carry, the grace you extend, and the strength you embody. Sixth, seek wise counsel when needed. There may be moments when the situation feels bigger than you can handle alone. Don't hesitate to reach out to trusted mentors, spiritual leaders, or professional advisors who can offer perspective and support. You are not meant to walk this journey in isolation. God often brings the right people at the right time to help you navigate complex situations. Listen for His leading, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Seventh, stay rooted in gratitude. Even as you set boundaries and take practical steps, keep your heart open to the goodness that is unfolding. Thank God for the protection you've experienced, for the justice that is being revealed, and for the restoration that is on the way. Gratitude will keep your spirit light, your perspective clear, and your hope alive. Finally, remember this gentle encouragement. What you are receiving here is spiritual encouragement, not legal advice. If your situation involves legal or professional matters, consider seeking trusted counsel who can guide you with wisdom and care. God works through both the spiritual and the practical, and He honors those who steward their lives with diligence. Stay with me, because the journey is not over. As you align your actions with God's leading, you will find new strength rising within you. The boundaries you set will become places of peace. The records you keep will become testimonies of God's faithfulness. The discernment you pray for will open doors to new relationships and opportunities. The calm you maintain will be a shield in times of trouble. And the gratitude you nurture will be the song that carries you forward. The next chapter is about to unfold, and you are ready to walk in it with confidence, wisdom, and grace. You have come through the fire, and you are not the same. Where once you felt the sting of scrutiny, now you stand in the light of honor. The old narrative, the one that kept you second-guessing, shrinking, and questioning your worth, has lost its grip. You are not defined by the opinions of others, nor by the shadows of misunderstanding. You are chosen, beloved, and protected by a God who sees every detail and calls you by name. This is your new reality. You walk with a quiet confidence, not because every question has been answered, but because you know who holds your story. The peace that once felt out of reach now settles over you like a gentle covering. Relationships that were strained by suspicion begin to heal, as truth and grace make room for restoration. Where there was distance, new understanding grows. Where there was silence, honest conversation begins to flow. The respect you longed for is no longer withheld, it is given freely, not because you demanded it, but because your character has spoken louder than any accusation. You are elevated, not by the applause of the crowd, but by the steady hand of God. The places where you once felt small are now the very places where your voice carries weight. The people who once watched with doubt now look to you for wisdom. The boundaries you set have become invitations for others to do the same, and your story is a beacon for those who are still waiting for their own unveiling. The contrast is clear. The old season was marked by anxiety, by the ache of being misunderstood, by the pressure to prove yourself. The new season is marked by clarity, by the assurance that you are seen and valued, by the freedom to be fully yourself. You no longer walk in fear of being watched. You walk in the confidence of being known. The eyes that matter most are the ones that see your heart, and those eyes are filled with love and pride. As you step into this next chapter, carry with you the lessons of the journey. Let your identity be rooted in truth, your boundaries be shaped by wisdom, and your relationships be built on trust. The future is not just brighter, it is wide open, filled with possibilities you once only dreamed of. You are not just surviving, you are thriving. You are not just enduring, you are rising. Stay with this truth, you are chosen, protected, and now elevated. The story that once brought you pain is now the testimony that brings you peace. The next chapter is yours to write, and it will be marked by honor, clarity, and a deep, unshakable sense of who you are. If this message has spoken to your heart, take a moment to declare it over your life. Type, "I receive," or "Amen," in the comments as a sign of faith. Your agreement is powerful, and your testimony matters. If you've seen God move in your story, share it below so others can be encouraged by your breakthrough. Every story of restoration, every moment of justice, every quiet victory is a light for someone else still waiting. Don't keep this word to yourself, save it, share it, and let it be a reminder that you are not alone in your journey. There is more to come, and the next prophetic insight will speak even deeper into your season. You'll want to hear what's coming next, so stay connected and expectant. May peace and honor follow you into every new chapter, and may you always remember that you are seen, loved, and chosen.